Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is a book whose main character was my brother. And so it's a book whose story I'm familiar with.
Why was it written about him?
I think because Jim was such an amazing person. If you met him, you would never forget him. He was electric. When he entered a room, you knew that he was there. He was good-looking, bright, well-read, and very social. And he enjoyed people. I have many stories that I could tell about people who come in now who are adults, and they say, "Oh, when I was a child, I came with my dad. He did some work for your brother, and Jim played the organ for me, the pipe organ, in the ballroom when he found out I liked music," that sort of thing. So Jim really related beautifully to people. The book has had a huge impact on Savannah, and it's had a great impact on my family. And I would simply start by saying that it should have been marketed as fiction and was not. And I actually had a conversation with the author before it was published, and his comment was that Random House was trying to decide whether to market it as fiction or nonfiction. And I do remember quite clearly that he said they chose nonfiction because it would be easier for it to get on the best-selling list and stay there. And certainly it was on the list for a very long time.
Why do you consider it a fictional book?
Why do I? Because there is so much fiction in there. You know, people read a book that is marketed as nonfiction, and they believe that everything in there is accurate. And that certainly isn't true about this particular book.
Are there certain sections in there that you consider blatant fictional aspects, and what are they?
No, I certainly couldn't focus or wouldn't dare to focus on sections, but simply to say that there is a great deal of fiction in there. Interestingly enough, my brother signed a contract with Berendt, agreeing to cooperate with the book because Jim wanted his story told accurately. He felt that it was important. He had been through a lot to clear his name, and clearing his name was crucial to him. And so he wanted his story to be told accurately. For that reason, he signed the contract with Berendt and gave Berendt access to Sonny Sala, for instance, Jim's major attorney, to court records and tape recordings, for instance.
What's the connection between the author and your brother? How did he decide on having this author chosen to write the book, and what was the connection?
Now, no one chose him to write the book. Jim wanted his story told, and he had met Berendt one time only, and then Berendt approached him about doing the book. So that's how that came about.
Did you make any contributions to the book? Were you interviewed?
Let me go back in time and think. If you ask me about the movie, that's an easy question about the movie. But about the book, I would say that I didn't have any impact on the book.
What did you find the most frustrating about the book? What's inside the book?
Most frustrating is that many portions of that book are the author's world, John Berendt's world, not Jim Williams' world. And I find that frustrating.
What would be the biggest difference between what he saw and what Jim was about?
Well, I'm not looking at differences in the two individuals, for instance, though they are very, very different as individuals. One thing that I found very frustrating about the book is the fact that the author chose to present a very serious story, my brother's story, very serious. And he chose to present that intersposed with these trivial sort of social vignettes. And I always found that interesting. But you know, I think that's one reason the book was successful. It's easy to read. Berendt is a magazine writer, and certainly was when he wrote the book. And so it's easy to read, and that's one aspect. Plus, a friend of mine said, another thing that's going on is that people have always suspected that we had strange characters here in the South. And the book simply presents that to them. So maybe that's a part of it also.
What did Jim think of the book?
Oh, Jim was dead when the book was published.
What do you think he would have thought of it?
My comment is that the book would have been very different had Jim Williams been alive when it was published.
Why is that?
Because much of it was not Jim's world.
What impact has the book had on your family?
Well, certainly it's difficult to hear people who have picked up fictionalized aspects from the book and who present those as reality. And so that's very difficult. We still deal with that here. Another impact simply is the attention that my home, for instance, receives as a result of the book. We've loved and lived in this house for over 40 years. We feel at home here. My children are at home here. When Jim died and I came to settle the estate, I gave up my career at Georgia and moved in to the house and worked very hard to settle the estate. And this was a wonderful home. My family loved it, we had great parties, my friends loved it, I enjoyed it. But then when the book was published, suddenly the house gets a lot of attention. And that can be difficult to handle.
Why?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Give it a thought, Debbie. How would you feel if you had people around your house all the time? I didn't open the house as a museum for, I think, more than 6 years because I genuinely believed that I could retain my privacy, and that I was mistaken about that. I could not. And so when I realized that I could not, and that guides were telling stories that were not accurate, immediately I turned the corner. You know, when that happens to you, I turned that corner and I said, I'm inviting people in. I want them to see Jim's house. I want them to see how beautiful it is and how remarkable his collection is. Also, I want people to hear Jim's story, and they do. Our docents love this house. They love Jim's history. They enjoy telling people about it. They're proud of it.